Alright, welcome back. Today we are breaking down Get Out, Jordan Peele's debut film. I love this movie. I came across it the other day and watched the first 10 minutes before stopping and telling myself I needed to do a breakdown on it. Ever since I started this channel, I look at the movies and TV shows I watch differently, which makes it really fun to go back and rewatch my favorites because it's almost like I'm seeing them again for the first time. I'm watching it with a different eye. Rather than just being entertained, I'm examining it, and you notice a lot of things that you might normally miss. Now, in my opinion, to fully appreciate this movie, you have to understand how meticulously it was put together, and that's what I'm here for. This movie is super heavy with foreshadowing and symbolism. Every time I watch it, I feel like I'm just peeling more and more layers back. So today, we're analyzing it beginning to end, and sometimes side to side. We're also going to talk about the deleted scenes that were cut, and 2 alternate endings. But most importantly, after we talk about the film, we're diving into Rose's character and how she is the most psychopathic member of this insane family. So the movie starts with Andre walking down the street in a nice suburban neighborhood. He's lost after getting bad directions given to him from his girlfriend on the phone. Now I think it's a safe assumption it's Rose that's on the phone with him, and that's how Jeremy knows where to find him. A white car approaches with the song Run Rabbit Run playing. Andre immediately gets a bad vibe from it and turns and walks the other way, only for the driver to pull over and attack him with a sleeper hold, knocking him out and dragging him back to his car for not hitting the thumbs up button. The credits start and we get an intro similar to The Shining, a nod to the movie, which is one of Jordan Peele's favorites. He has another Shining Easter egg later on when Rod is shown at the airport,
Like 237.
237 of course being the haunted room at the Overlook Hotel. During the credits, the song whose name I'll put on screen because I refuse to butcher this thing by trying to pronounce it, it was sung completely in Swahili, except for the word brother, a word which composer Michael Abels felt didn't need translation. According to Abels, the voices in the song represent the souls of black slaves trying to warn Chris to run away, the literal translation of the lyrics being, "Brother, run, listen to the elders, listen to the truth, run away, save yourself." Next we meet Chris, played by Daniel Kaluuya, in his first breakout role. He got this part after Jordan Peele had seen him in the Black Mirror episode 15 Million Merits. Chris is a photographer, and while this may seem like a minor detail, it matters a lot later on, when he uses the flash to interrupt the hijacked people's hypnosis. Speaking of which, I really wish we could have seen the flash from within the Sunken Place. That would have been really dope to see. Chris is a photographer, and has been with his girlfriend Rose for 5 months. On the wall in his apartment, you can see a picture of a black child holding up a white mask over his face, subtly foreshadowing white people wearing black people as masks or costumes. They're going to meet Rose's parents and stay with them for the weekend. Slightly nervous about it, Chris asks if they know that he's black. Rose laughs it off, but Chris points out he's the first black guy she's ever dated.
You know, I don't want to get chased off the lawn with a shotgun.
Remember that line.
Chased off the lawn with a shotgun.
She says he has nothing to worry about. Her dad would have voted for Obama a 3rd time if he could, and insists they aren't racist. On the car ride up, we learn he's a smoker, and she does not like it. Chris calls his friend Rod, a TSA agent, and thanks him for looking after his dog over the weekend. Rod replies by telling him he should never go to a white girl's parents' house. As they continue to drive, they hit a deer with their car, and Chris goes to check on it. Rose, however, doesn't care. She stays back, no compassion. Chris finds the deer and looks into his eyes as it dies. His mother was the victim of a hit and run when he was younger, and she died on the side of the road too, completely helpless. So this reminds him of that, but we'll dive into that more later. The cops show up to make a report, and when he asks for Chris's ID, Rose steps in, seemingly standing up for her black boyfriend in a potentially racist backwoods county. But in reality, she's trying to cover her tracks. They can't leave a paper trail saying he was spotted out here with her, and then all of a sudden he goes missing, and the license plate would lead the cops straight to him. Luckily, she's able to talk him down and they go on their way. They arrive at her parents' house and everything seems normal, aside from the groundskeeper creepily watching them arrive from outside. Missy, Rose's mom, is a psychiatrist and works out of their house. Dean, her dad, is a neurosurgeon. He gives Chris the grand tour, showing him family pictures, saying their youngest son Jeremy wants to get into medicine, just like him. Dean is obsessed with other people's culture, saying he loves to travel, loves souvenirs. It's such a privilege to be able to experience another person's culture. And that's just some crazy shit to say. It's like they're trying to give this guy all the hints in the world they're gonna steal his body, just to see if he might catch on. Dean says his dad was a runner, who was beaten by Jesse Owens in the '36 Berlin Olympics in front of Hitler.
You almost got over it.
Which is hilarious because we know his dad is inside the groundskeeper who's still obsessed with running. He wanted a black body thinking it would make him faster. The tour continues and Dean says the basement is sealed up with black mold. Now, you could dive into a whole theory that this represented black molds being in the basement, as in bodies and turning black people into molds. But Jordan Peele has already come out saying that wasn't the reason behind it. Black mold is just dangerous and a solid reason to keep people away. So go ahead and hit that blunt again. He says his mother loved the kitchen, so he keeps a piece of her in here, but he never explains what that piece is. Luckily, we know he's referring to her being inside of Georgina. Chris is a little weirded out and Dean consents it, so he tries to nip it in the bud, pointing out how weird it is to have black people serving whites. But he explains by saying they hired Georgina and Walter, the groundskeeper, to help care for his parents, and when they died, he couldn't bear to let them go. And that has layers to it. On the surface, he appears to be talking about Georgina and Walter, but he's really referring to not being able to let go of his parents, so they're still alive inside Georgina and Walter. Totally healthy. He follows that up by saying he'd vote for Obama a third time if he could.
Best president in my lifetime, hands down.
Now, with Rose predicting exactly what he would say, word for word, is pretty telling. It's like they're reading from a script and they pulled the same move countless times. One of them used it once and they were like, ooh, jot that down, that's a good one. We gotta use that again. Later when they sit outside, Dean notices Chris is jittery and asks if he smokes. Chris says he's trying to quit.
That's okay, we're not judging.
It's a nasty habit, though.
They only want pure black bodies. He hates to see Chris ruining his. He suggests Missy could hypnotize him to help him quit. It worked for him. He smoked for 15 years.
I'm good, actually.
It's then revealed they're having a huge party this weekend, and Rose pretends to not have known about it, even though they have it on the same day every single year. Dean's dad, Roman, aka Walter the groundskeeper, would get together with his friends once a year to hang out, and they still do it in his honor. Georgina comes out and starts to pour tea for Chris and falls into a trance, staring off into the distance and spilling the tea. Missy tells her she should go back inside and get some rest. Now, if we want to overanalyze this scene real quick,
that's why I'm here.
When Georgina comes out, she fills up everybody's glass before Chris's, even though his is the only one empty and theirs are still partially full. Just a baby dose of racism. Jeremy arrives for dinner, starts drinking and asks Chris if he's into MMA.
You an MMA fan? You ever get in street fights as a kid?
Definitely should have just named him Chad. Yeah, Chad, bro. Jeremy is literally licking his lips, saying that with Chris's frame and genetic makeup, he could be a beast if he trained hard enough. Just sizing him up, wishing he could take his body from him and become a superstar because clearly being a scrawny white kid is the only thing holding him back. He continues to drink and ends up trying to play fight with Chris, but Chris and Missy shut it down. That night, as Rose is brushing her teeth, she's calling out all the weird stuff her parents did that might have rubbed Chris the wrong way, attempting to make him more comfortable, but it comes off super weird and condescending. Her moral high horse is skyscraper tall. She warns him about the party, saying they're so white, but Chris isn't worried. But while she's brushing her teeth, I did notice an interesting poster. On the wall it says Death Cheetah. You could say it's referencing old people trying to cheat death. They bang it out and go to bed, but Chris can't sleep. He sneaks out to smoke, and when he walks through the house, we see Georgina creeping around in the background. He goes to light his cigarette outside, but is startled by Walter sprinting straight at him, turning at the last moment. Still obsessed with his Olympic loss, still obsessed with Jesse Owens beating him. Chris turns around and is caught off guard by Georgina staring at him through the window, but she's actually not staring at him. She appears to be looking past him. Turns out she was just admiring her own reflection and possibly adjusting her wig to make sure her scar's covered. Chris goes back inside and is ambushed by Missy.
Do you realize how dangerous smoking is?
And invites him to sit down. She grabs a teacup and starts scraping her spoon along the side of it as she explains how she uses hypnotism to create a state of heightened suggestibility.
What about your mother?
Wait, are we?
Where were you when she died?
He says she was on her way home from work, and when she never showed up, he just sat there and continued to watch TV. Chris starts to cry and scrapes at the arms of the chair with his fingernails, just like he did to his bed as a child, which actually ends up saving his life in the end. Suddenly, he realizes he can't move.
You're paralyzed.
Just like the day his mom died and he did nothing.
Sink into the floor.
Suddenly, Chris is falling through slow motion nothingness. He looks up to see Missy setting down the teacup, his physical body still frozen in the room, paralyzed. But his mind is trapped in what she calls the sunken place. It's like he's screaming while being trapped underwater. Chris wakes up in bed. Was it all a bad dream? His phone goes off and he finds it unplugged. He goes outside to get some fresh air, takes some pictures, and runs into Walter, who is just off.
She is lovely, isn't she? A real doggone keeper.
Now we know it's really Dean's dad in there, so it makes more sense on second viewing, but it's still unsettling. You wouldn't expect him to talk or act the way he is. Chris tells Rose that he thinks Missy hypnotized him because now he doesn't want to smoke.
I'm sorry. I can't believe she did that to you.
That's it? If someone hypnotized me without my permission, it's funk on sight. I'd have to put them to sleep just to make it even. I mean, that takes the idea of invading someone's privacy to a whole new level. It's literally mind. That's when the cars start rolling in for the party. The symbolism writes itself. White men inside black cars when they're all looking to buy a black body they could be inside. Walter greets and hugs everyone as they arrive, which in reality, they're all his friends, and this is his party he's throwing. But it's also weird as that the groundkeeper would be greeting all the guests like this, at least from Chris's point of view. Rose tells Chris to smile as she introduces him to different guests. Gordon used to be a professional golfer, but his hip doesn't allow it anymore, so he asks Chris if he ever golfed. Even when Chris says no, he still asks him to see his form. Lisa finds Chris extremely attractive, going as far as groping his arms and chest in front of everyone.
Is it better?
Wow.
She'll happily bang it out with him over her wheelchair-bound, oxygen tank-sporting husband Nelson, who's just sitting over there smiling like a cuck. And look at this subtle look Rose has to give her when she goes too far. She even mouths something with her lips, but you can't tell because Lisa's hand blocks it. Another couple tells Chris and Rose that black is back in fashion now, literally talking about wearing human beings as clothes. And his wife has a vicious case of the crazy eyes. That's when Chris decides he's had enough weird white people for one day and goes off to take some pictures. Dean points him out to his group of friends, calling him over, but Chris pretends he didn't see him. That's when Chris notices Logan and introduces himself. Similar to Georgina and Walter, Logan is off, and he has a white wife 30 years older than him. Logan leans over telling her that Chris told him how much more comfortable he felt with him being here, in front of Chris, who looks at him like, "What the f you doing, man?" And then the final straw. Chris goes to give him a fist bump as he leaves, and Logan shakes his closed fist. That's it, call the cops, something's wrong with this guy. Logan and his wife then join another group of people, and Logan spins around showing off his new body as the white people are all impressed with his brand new 2017 black man outfit. And that's when Chris meets Jim Hudson, a blind art dealer, who says he's a fan of Chris's work. He lost his vision and now he has assistants describe photos to him in great detail. He acknowledges how weird all the other guests are while commenting on Chris's photography and the eye he has. That's what Jim wants. Not his eye to see through, but the artistic eye. And somehow he thinks that comes with Chris's body and isn't part of Chris himself. And this is also where the first major deleted scene was cut from the movie. While Chris is talking to Jim, Jeremy comes over and asks him to come play badminton. As he walks away, Jim tells him he'd like to throw him a solo show in his art gallery, and they'll have to get together sometime. I see what you did there. That's dark. As they play badminton, a crowd slowly starts to gather around to watch Chris and assess his athletic ability. It's pretty unsettling. It's like they're watching a new product being tested in front of them for the first time. When Chris realizes everyone is staring at him, he leaves the game and goes inside. Now, I don't know why they cut this scene exactly. My guess is time constraints, but I really enjoyed it and I thought it added an extra level to the detachment of these people. And then that scene leads directly into Chris going back inside the crowded house. And when he goes upstairs, the entire place goes quiet. They all stop talking and quietly listen as he moves around above them. It's such a creepy scene. It makes no sense why they do that. Chris finds his phone unplugged again, but now it's completely dead. He tells Rose about it and she just gaslights the out of him before leaving. Chris calls Rod and tells him this place is weird, admitting he got hypnotized to quit smoking and it worked.
Bro, how you not scared of this, man?
Rod tells him he needs to get out of there. Whites love turning people into sex slaves. Chris says even the black people are acting weird, and Rod calls it out perfectly, saying they've all probably been hypnotized too. Rod's onto something.
Look, bro, all I'm doing is connecting the dots.
Suddenly, Georgina walks in, apologizing and over-explaining why she hasn't subscribed to my channel yet.
Allow me to explain.
I mean, why she unplugged his phone. Rose clearly went straight to her. Her face changes. She appears to struggle and starts to cry while forcing a smile. It's like she's crying on the inside, but the rest of her body isn't acknowledging it. Chris walks outside and is ambushed by Dean, who introduces him to like 10 people. Everyone wants to meet him before the auction. Chris says hi and tries to leave, but the old Asian guy asks if he thinks being black is beneficial in the modern world, which is a weird question even knowing why he's asking it. It's like he's weighing the pros and cons of an investment. It's just a numbers game to him. And if the numbers make sense, he's in. Logan walks by and Chris stops him, asking him to answer the man's weird question. As he's talking, Chris attempts to discreetly take a picture of him, but accidentally left the flash turned on his phone. The flash freezes Logan in the middle of a sentence. His nose starts to bleed and he tells Chris to get out, rushing him and screaming that he needs to get out of there. A tiny bit of Andre broke through and was trying to warn him, but Jeremy just drags him off. Dean explains to everyone that it was a seizure, and Logan walks out with Missy, seemingly back to his old weird self, and apologizes to everyone for the outburst.
My cousin's epileptic. That wasn't a seizure.
He then says when Logan rushed him, he felt familiar, like he knew him from somewhere. He blames all this on Missy for hypnotizing him, which I think is still weird that he didn't make a bigger deal out of it. How could you ever trust somebody who thinks that's okay? And the fact all Rose did was apologize like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Chris says he wants to leave, but Rose makes it all about her, trying to manipulate him by saying, "Without me?" and then turning around. Like, you were all pro-black rights earlier. If your mom's gonna hypnotize me against my will, and your dad's friends are gonna ask me crazy questions about being black, you should be the first one in the car to be like, "Let's go." But we know that's not part of her family's plan. Because while they're talking, Dean is selling Chris at a silent auction with bingo cards. And it's creepy as f***. And of course, Jim, the blind art dealer, eventually wins the auction. Clearly the best fit for Chris, as they're both photographers and love art. It's exactly what he's looking for. Chris tells Rose the full story about the night his mom died. He waited hours without doing anything about her not coming home, only to find out later she survived the initial hit and laid on the side of the road, suffering, bleeding out, just like the deer they hit. He blames himself because there was plenty of time to save her had he just called 911. But he didn't. He tells Rose she's all he's got, and he won't leave without her. They agree to go home. Rose says she'll make up an excuse to tell her parents, and they can leave. They return to the house as all the guests are leaving. Jeremy's playing the ukulele on the porch like a hobo. Walter and Georgina stare at Chris, same with Dean and Missy. It's so unsettling, and they all just follow him inside. Chris texts Rod the picture he took of Logan.
That's Drake. Andre Hayworth. Used to kick it with Veronica, Teresa's sister that worked at the movie theater on 8th.
Chris knew he recognized him. He tells Rod he's acting weird and came to the party with an old white woman. Rod, again, tells him he needs to get out of there. But that's when Chris's battery dies. He tells Rose they need to leave right now, and you can tell she's trying to buy some time, so she says she's gonna go get her bag. As Chris packs, he notices a small door open and goes to check it out. He finds a shoebox full of old pictures. He looks at them to discover Rose has had several black boyfriends before. She lied to him, but the most alarming part is the last two pictures. She dated Walter and Georgina. Chris slams the closet door closed and Rose is standing right there waiting for him. But now she can't find her keys. They go downstairs as she continues to look, and her entire family slowly surrounds Chris. Chris keeps asking Rose for the keys, but she says she can't find them. Then when she finally does pull the keys out, her whole demeanor changes.
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
Chris charges Jeremy, but Missy taps her spoon on her teacup 3 times, freezing Chris in his tracks, and he falls to the floor. They take his body down to the basement, and Chris is stuck in the sunken place again, watching helplessly as Rose tells him he was one of her favorites, and he is just falling further and further away from reality. And this is where the second major deleted scene was cut. He pulls out a lighter and starts lighting it to try and use it as a light so he can see. It goes out, and each time he tries to relight it, we see some kind of skeleton getting closer to him. It results in a jump scare where the skeleton of the dead deer from earlier pops up and screams at him. Now compared to the last one, I'm really glad they cut this scene out. The deer is super corny. Rod is at the airport and tries to call Chris's phone but gets no answer. He goes to Chris's house to see if he's home yet, but he's not, so Rod feeds his dog Sid and tries calling him again. No answer. While watching TV, Rod decides to Google, Bing, Andre Hayworth, and discovers he was reported missing 6 months ago.
Oh, shit.
Chris wakes up in a mysterious room, strapped to a chair with a mounted deer on the wall staring down at him, a complete reversal of the roles from earlier, where Chris was looking down at the helpless deer. He panics and tries to free himself, but he can't. A video starts to play on the TV in front of him. It's Roman Armitage, Dean's father, and the guy who's inside Walter, explaining the coagula procedure they have planned for him. The creepy video ends and is replaced with a video of Missy's teacup and a spoon scraping the side, which instantly puts Chris to sleep. Rod goes to the police. He reports Chris missing and shows them the picture of Andre, but they all laugh at him, even though he's TSA and he fights terrorists. That night, Rod tries calling Chris again. He's such a good friend. But this time Rose picks up and says Chris left 2 days ago in a cab after freaking out on her. She pretends to be worried, but we can see her face completely straight and emotionless on the other side of the phone.
You lying bitch. This motherfucker's lying.
Rod can tell something's wrong. He's got that premier TSA training and his spidey senses are tingling. He knows she's lying, so he starts to record their conversation. He asks about her mom hypnotizing Chris, but Rose changes the subject and said he clearly called because he likes her. But Rod is solid. He ain't falling for that shit. Chris is his homie, and he angrily hangs up on that snake. Chris is still passed out. He's clawing at the leather armrest, which is starting to rip. When he finally wakes up, another video turns on. This time it's Jim Hudson, the guy who won the auction. But it's not a video, it's a live feed. They can talk to each other, and Jim offers to answer any questions about the procedure as the success rate is higher when both participants have a solid understanding of what's happening. He explains phase 1 was the hypnosis to sedate him. They're currently in phase 2, which is mental preparation, kind of like a psychological pre-op. And then phase 3 is the transplant. They take Jim's brain and put it into Chris's head, leaving behind just a sliver of Chris that is still connected to the nervous system, a limited consciousness. This is very Black Mirror-esque. I love it. Basically, he's going to be stuck in the sunken place forever, where he can see and hear what's going on, but can't interact or do anything about it, like a permanent passenger in his own body. Jim says he wants Chris for his artistic eye. He wants to see things like he does, and he thinks this operation will accomplish that. The video feed cuts off and Chris looks around. He realizes the armrests he'd been picking at in his sleep were filled with cotton, and he's got a plan. The teacup comes back on the screen and the scraping of the spoon knocks Chris out again. We see inside the operating room. Jim is knocked out on a bed with an empty bed beside him for Chris, and Dean is getting ready for the surgery. He opens a box of surgical tools and begins cutting into Jim's head, removing the top of his skull. Jeremy takes a wheelchair to go get Chris, who is still knocked out. He unbuckles him from the chair and prepares an IV, but as his back is turned, Chris picks up a bocce ball and gives Jeremy a 2-piece to the back of his dome. Chris pulls balled out cotton from his ears that he had taken from the chair to block out the sound of the spoon scraping. Ironically, he freed himself by picking cotton. No longer helpless, he looks up at the deer on the wall. Dean notices Jeremy hasn't come back and goes to check on him. He looks down the hallway and is ambushed by Chris, who stabs Dean with the deer head. Dean stumbles into the operating room and knocks over a candle which starts a fire. Not sure why you'd have lit candles in an operating room, but just add it to the long list of questions we have for this weird-ass family. Chris goes upstairs and Georgina runs when she sees him. He grabs his phone and heads to the door when Missy spots him. They both lunge for her teacup and Chris breaks it. She tries to stab him, but Chris overpowers and kills her. He reaches the front door, but Jeremy jumps on him from behind, putting him in a sleeper hold, the same move he used on Andre in the very beginning. Chris almost passes out, but stabs Jeremy in the leg and gets away. He's not taking any more chances with this crazy-ass kid, and stomps the shit out of Jeremy's head before grabbing his car keys from his pocket. Rose is upstairs eating cereal like an alien, keeping the milk separated, eating one individual piece at a time, and then taking several consecutive tiny sips of milk from a straw. It's so weird. She's on her laptop, searching top NCAA prospects, scouting her next target, while she has the pictures from her previous victims hung on the wall behind her like hunting trophies. Now, we could throw on our tinfoil hats and say that her eating cereal the way she is, separating whites from colors, is some crazy symbolic thing about her inner racism. But again, Jordan Peele has already talked about this, and he said they shot the scene the way they did just to make her seem like a more detached weirdo, and it does just that. Chris gets into Jeremy's car, and it's the same car that abducted Andre in the beginning, with his weird night helmet in the passenger seat. He drives off and calls 911, but suddenly Georgina jumps in front of his car and he hits her. Rose hears the noise from inside her bedroom. Chris sees Georgina on the ground and has a flashback to the night he did nothing about his mom. Against his better judgment, he picks her up and loads her into the front seat of his car, feeling bad for Georgina, not the person trapped inside of her. He drives off as Rose emerges from the smoking house with a rifle, aiming at the car but not firing because she knows her grandmother's inside. And this is a callback to the beginning, when Chris said he didn't want to be chased off the lawn with a shotgun, because that's exactly what just happened, except it was Rose and not Dean. The amount of subtle foreshadowing Jordan Peele layered into this movie is amazing, and it was all done deliberately because they shot this movie extremely quick. Principal photography only lasted 23 days. Georgina wakes up and attacks Chris, causing him to crash his car into a tree. She dies on impact, and we can see the massive scar across her forehead from the surgery. She had been constantly adjusting her wig to make sure it was hidden, and that's why Walter and Logan both wear hats. Rose shoots at Chris as he gets out of the car, and out of nowhere Walter appears, sprinting, tackling Chris from behind. His hat falls off in the fight, and now you can see the giant scar on his head as well. Chris pulls his phone out and takes a picture, the flash causing Walter to snap out of it. Walter stands up, asking Rose for the rifle to shoot Chris, but when she gives it to him, he shoots her in the stomach before turning it on himself. Rose starts crawling towards the gun, but Chris grabs it first. She apologizes, trying to manipulate him one last time by saying she loves him, but Chris ain't falling for that again. He wraps his hand around her throat and starts to squeeze, but then he stops when he realizes she's enjoying it like the sick she is. Plus, he's not a monster like her. And that's when the police show up, and Rose's bitch ass starts playing the victim, yelling for help, hoping the cops are gonna take her side when they see a crying, wounded white woman and a black man sitting next to her. Chris puts his hands up, ready for the worst. But in all reality, I think this is kind of a relief, because even going to jail for life is better than being stuck as a passenger in your own body, helpless, forever. But guess what? It's not the police. It's Rod of the motherfucking TSA. Chris gets into his car to leave, and Rod tries to hold it in. He tries so hard not to say it. He just can't do it.
I mean, I told you not to go in that house.
Chris asks how he found him.
I'm TS motherfucking A. We handle shit. That's what we do.
They drive off together as Rose dies on the ground, gasping for air. Now, in the original ending, Chris kills Rose, the police show up, and he goes to jail. Jordan Peele said he wanted the original ending to reflect the realities of racism, but later he changed his mind, opting for a more hopeful resolution, while still preserving a brief moment where we thought Chris was going to go to jail. Another ending he considered was Rod shows up, but it was too late and it was after the procedure. Chris is gone. All things considered, I think he chose the best ending and pulled it off perfectly. Now, we covered a ton in this breakdown, but if there's one last thing we have to explore, it's that the biggest psychopath in the house wasn't Dean with his Obama obsession, wasn't Missy with her teacup from hell, or Jeremy with his homoerotic MMA fantasies. It was Rose. Rose Armitage is by far the most frightening character because she manipulates with intention and patience, all with the ultimate goal of betrayal. Sounds like someone else I know. And she feels no remorse. She's completely heartless and detached from the reality of what she's doing. Rose kidnaps black people so her parents could hypnotize them, cut them open, and then turn them into hollow shells of human beings for old white people to inhabit. That's so deeply twisted. To repeatedly fake relationships with people for months at a time, only to betray them and leave them trapped inside their own bodies for the rest of their lives, is dark in a way that's hard to fully process. That's pure evil. Level 10 psychopath. She's probably great in bed. The crazy ones always are. And that's how she gets them. What makes Rose so scary and dangerous is how precisely she plays the role in her family's operation. She's ready for anything. When the police officer asks for Chris's ID after the deer accident, Rose immediately challenges him. At first, it comes off as protective, even loving. She looks like she's standing up for her boyfriend against racism. But looking back on it, that moment changes completely. It's not about defending Chris at all. It's about protecting her family and the crazy shit they do. She's concerned about keeping him undocumented and untraceable. Rose's biggest weapon is her credibility. We trust her immediately, and she uses that against us, similar to a few of the Black Mirror episodes I covered recently. And that's what makes her betrayal land so hard. Even when she's looking for her keys, you still want to believe she might not be like her family. You hope she isn't, but she is. And honestly, she's the worst one. She initiates the entire process, picking the targets herself and then seducing them, manipulating men who want relationships with her. And she does it over and over again. When we see that box of photos, it's like discovering a serial killer's trophy collection, Dexter's blood slides. And the craziest thing, the photos are only in a box because Chris is visiting. We know this because we see them all hanging on the wall later on. She literally decorates her bedroom with the faces of people she destroyed. She's proud of them like they were successful hunts. She operates without remorse. She enjoys what she does. And that's where the psychopathy comes in. Psychopaths aren't defined by a lack of emotional intelligence, they're defined by the misuse of it. Psychopaths are also characterized by their lack of guilt, being manipulative, and having parasitic relationships with others. And Rose checks every box. She feels no guilt when her partners are, I don't even know what to call it, killed, enslaved, overwritten. She doesn't care. She gets pleasure from it. And that pleasure seems to come from the act of betrayal. The power she gets from being trusted while simultaneously sharpening the knife to stab you in the back. That's what makes her earlier displays of affection so disturbing when you watch it again. She's done this so many times it's effortless. She's just going through the motions. No feelings, no attachment, as cold as a hooker's heart. Rose reminds us that sometimes the scariest monsters are so close to us that you can't see them for who they really are. The people that are telling you that you're safe with them could very well be the same ones leading you to danger. And that is why, in my opinion, Rose is an evil bitch. So, I say all that to say, Rod was right. Chris never should have gone to that house. And there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about the movie, my take on it, and if you enjoy these longer form breakdowns. I had a lot of fun writing it, and I'm looking forward to breaking down more movies like this in the future. And if you made it this far, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. I got a lot more coming up. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.